Sister Remberta Westkaemper, Finding God in the Forest. According to the rule of St. Benedict, the most important qualification for being received into the monastery is that the person truly seeks God. The God quest, which is both personal and communal, is the raison d'etre for monastic life, and everything in the monastic setting is to be arranged in such a way that it fosters the search. Thus, for example, Benedict prescribes daily encounters with the written Word of God, productive work, and mutual service and charity. Benedictines have also come to recognize that something of God can be known and experienced through art, poetry, music, architecture, and other forms of cultural expression. Remaining close to the natural world has always been one of the preferred means by which monastic women and men seek to become acquainted with the divine. For the Sisters of St. Benedict's Monastery, a walk through the woods is an act of contemplative prayer that holds the potential of a surprise appearance by the Creator. In the brilliance of a backlit autumn leaf, perhaps, or the slant of the sun through a stand of trees. More than anyone else in the 150-year history of the monastery, Sister Remberta Westkaemper embodied the Benedictine tradition of discovering God in creation, particularly in the diversity of plant life. For Sister Remberta, botany was theology. The study of goat's beard and goldenrod, the study of God. By her own account, Susanna Westkaemper grew up as an outdoor girl. As a family, we were all nature lovers, she recalled in her oral history, which was recorded in 1979 when she was 89 years old. We lived outdoors, and the table conversation was mostly about things we had seen or done, the first robin, or the first this, and the first that. As a child, Susanna and her siblings explored the woods, pastures, and streams on and near their family dairy farm in Spring Hill, Minnesota. It was during these expeditions that the future botanist learned to really see the intricacies of nature and developed a lifelong sense of wonder at the marvels of creation. Sight is a sense, she would say, but to really see is an art. Susanna entered St. Benedict's Monastery in 1905 at the age of 15. She was given the name Sister Remberta and was sent out to teach in local elementary schools. Opened the biology department at the College of St. Benedict in 1917, just 4 years after the college was founded. For the next 12 years, Sister Remberta taught while pursuing her own studies in the field of botany, earning a doctorate from the University of Minnesota in 1929. With the exception of a 4-year stint as president of the college, 1957 to 1962, she continued to teach biology and botany until her retirement in 1973. Sister Remberta's philosophy of education can be summarized in 2 words: field trips. To me, botany without field trips has no meaning, she explained in her oral history. For Sister Remberta, the purpose of these field trips was to collect specimens, of course, but there was a bigger lesson she wanted her students to learn. She wanted them to develop a sense of wonder that would last a lifetime. I knew they would forget the details of botany, but I wanted to make sure that they would learn to stand and stare, to develop the sense of wonder and the sense to wonder. Her favorite, but by no means only, destination was the monastery's own woods, which she admired for its diverse flora. We are happily situated because our woods is not very big, but it is one of the richest woods that I've ever visited, she would say. It has such a variety of soil that you find so many plants there. Later on, when we got cars, we went farther for field trips, but I still think that our woods is one of the best places for field trips that there is. Sister Remberta described a field trip to our woods in the 1930s when she and her students were surprised to discover a patch of large flowered trilliums. That was a great thrill, Sister Remberta recalled in her 1979 oral history interview. The girls were so excited. They ran ahead, shouted, and they said, "Sister, you told us that there are no large flowered trilliums here in the woods." Here they were, and we had them spread all through. That's one of the few flowers protected by state law, and we had a big patch there. Students who accompanied Sister Remberta on these outings recall that she wore tennis shoes with her religious habit, and that she had a pocket full of candy to revive drooping spirits. I could outwalk any student, Sister Remberta reported in an oral interview conducted in 1985. They had a hard time keeping up with me. She theorized that the faster you walk, the less fatigued you become. According to her former student, Sister Margaret Van Kempen, Sister Remberta made her own the words of Bernard of Clairvaux. "You find God more in the forests than in the books. Woods and stones will tell you things you cannot hear from teachers." She was always grateful that she herself had learned this lesson as a child. She was known to say, even on her deathbed, "I thank God that I have a sense of wonder and the sense to wonder." She was pleased to hear from former students that they still took time to stand and stare and wonder, and they taught their children to do the same. Sister Remberta scoured the woods, wetlands, prairies, and roadsides of Stearns County to collect plant specimens for the University of Minnesota and the College of St. Benedict. Over time, she collected more than 600 specimens. It was not uncommon for her, when she was a passenger in a car, to suddenly ask the driver to pull over so she could fetch a flower from the ditch. William Cofell recalled a trip to the Twin Cities by way of Highway 10. Somewhere south of St. Cloud, where the road parallels the railroad tracks, Sister Remberta observed an abundant blooming patch of pasque flowers, gloriously arrayed along the railroad right-of-way. She asked me to stop, which I quickly did. Sister then proceeded to reap the flowers, seeming almost to embrace them and sweep them from the ground. She was almost in glory and grateful with excitement. When she had harvested, she returned to the car. In 1971, Minneapolis Tribune columnist Robert T. Smith wrote of Sister Remberta that she trudges about the region in her hunt for joy. In the fullness of time, all things will be gathered up in Christ, things in heaven and things on earth. These passages form the theological basis for Sister Remberta's growing concern about pollution. All of creation is redeemed by Christ. All material things bear Christ's presence. The world is so beautiful, so wonderful. We are awakening again to the reality and wonder of the earth, even as we despoil it. Many of us act as though all material things existed only for our use. We forget that Christ redeemed not only man, but the universe. She worried that greed and selfishness would deplete the earth's resources. She knew that those who took the time to stand and stare and wonder at the sacred intricacies of nature, the veins in a leaf, the shape of a trillium, the color of the prairie grasses in autumn, could not bear to let the earth come to harm. Rachel Carson, a contemporary of Sister Remberta, wrote, "The more clearly we can focus our attention on the wonders and realities of the universe about us, the less taste we shall have for destruction." Sister Remberta focused her attention on the wonders and realities of the universe, and in doing so she found God. She stood and stared at creation, and the Creator stared back at her.
Though she retired from teaching in 1973, Sister Remberta continued her field trips and completed her collection of the flora of Stearns County. From 1975 to 1978, with the help of student, colleague, and friend photographers, she prepared and presented 4 slideshows to share her hobby and collection with the students of the College of St. Benedict. The 4 shows cover the plant life in the woods, on the prairies, in fields and roadsides, and in water and wet areas. The following are samples of the various frames she used in the slideshows. Some samples include her explanation as it was recorded on cassettes that accompany the slides.
It's spring. Hepatica is the first flower to appear in St. Benedict's woods. It is a common favorite. It forms large patches of purple, lavender, or white flowers 1/2 to 3/4 inches across. The leaves last through the winter. As we finish our tour of the woods through the seasons, we pause to think and to give thanks to God who made the world so good, so beautiful, so wonderful. May we learn to appreciate it ever more and more as we learn to observe it more closely. Deo gratias. Now, I have to say and give a little sales talk. I hope that some of you will go back to field work with added interest, and I'm convinced that this is one of the best hobbies there is. It's not expensive, like skiing would be, or dangerous, like snowmobiling is, and it's not destructive of the surroundings. In fact, it helps to keep the surroundings healthy. And you don't need a great deal. The one thing without which you cannot do it, though, is you must really care. You must be enthusiastic about it. And if you really care, then you are equipped. Because then you'll have enough curiosity to go after things, and then you will also have the sense of wonder, which is indispensable. Now, if you have a sturdy pair of legs, that helps, because you can start out in a car, but the end of every field trip is on foot. Then wear comfortable shoes, soles, not smooth and stiff, but soles that will hold, conformed, and then you can go. I take a plastic bag, a jackknife, a trowel maybe. Don't take too much that you have to carry. The plastic bag, put it in there, see it doesn't wilt then. And then you're ready to go. You don't need a great deal. And there are so many books on the market now that will help you. So I hope that many of you will use this spring. And as on closing, I must say, I wish you joy in wandering and joy in wondering.
Throughout her life, Sister Remberta was eager to share her love for nature, especially with the young. In the monastery business office records of January 10, 1942, there is mention of yet another way that she found to share her wisdom and experience. In noting the income for that year, the record reads, "Publication by Loyola University Press of elementary science series of books that Sister Remberta wrote, 37,000 words in the 5th grade and 30,000 words in the 6th grade at 2 cents a word, or $1,314.58 received. The books were part of a series for grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Sister Remberta was forthright and down to earth. Her oral history, recorded during her retirement, reveals some of her honest reactions to her past experiences. When asked how she felt when she was asked to serve as college president, she said,
I just hated it. Had no gift for administration, but I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to get out and do field work. I like teaching. I had a special gift for teaching, they tell me, and I was happy when I was teaching.
Sister Remberta's sense of curiosity and wonder never waned. This photo, taken just a few days before her death, on March 13, 1988, captures her eagerness for learning ever more about the world she loved so dearly. Sister Margaret Van Kempen, a longtime friend and a former student of Sister Remberta's, gave the eulogy, expressing the tribute of love and admiration felt by all of her sisters, the members of St. Benedict's Monastery, St. Joseph, Minnesota.
In the reading we heard, "Let the wilderness and the dry lands exult. Let the wasteland rejoice and bloom. Let it bring forth flowers like the jonquil. Let it rejoice and sing for joy." Sister Remberta would stand in joy-filled wonder at such a sight. Each bloom would be examined, its color and fragrance noted, and in her exuberance she would surely pick a few, quite a few. How many times have we heard her say, "I thank God that I've had a sense of wonder and the sense to wonder." Again and again she reminded Sister Phyllis and me that we must develop the same sense of wonder in our students. I clearly remember the excitement we shared in the classroom, labs, and in the field. Her enthusiasm and sense of awe for even the tiniest creatures was contagious. The ability to wonder leads to surprises, and as Brother David Stearns says, life is full of surprises, and surprise is the key to gratefulness. Sister Remberta expressed gratitude to the fullest, whether she was responding to cheese and tea with Sister Mariella, to a flower in the field, to any kindness shown to her by others, and to the mystery of God's love for her. These experiences became her cherished memories, and she kept them all filled in what she referred to as her memory box. In the fields and in the woods, Remy moved with an energy and spirit found only in the young. Her holy tennis shoes took her along ocean beaches, rocky outcrops, Stearns County prairies, tamarack swamps, past the Trillium Patch, and on to Hepatica Hill. She claimed never to have had an identity crisis. Last Thursday she told us that she knew from the time that she was in the 2nd grade that she was going to become a Benedictine sister, and that was that. She lived a life of prayer and dedication to God, to our religious community, and to her family. Her achievements were widely recognized and lauded, but she never lost sight of her goal, union with God. In her role as teacher and friend, Sister Remberta was a model of loyalty and support. We, her students, remember her as demanding but reasonable, extremely knowledgeable, yet simple, kind, and honest. She was a person with great common sense. I will never forget her admonitions. Work as if it all depended upon you, and pray as if it all depended on God. Sister Remberta kept her mind alert and free from boredom by her incessant and varied reading. There are few books in the library that do not have her name on the card. What a privilege to have had her as teacher and friend. I knew that she loved and respected me, and she knew that I loved and respected her. Her parting words on Thursday emphasized this when she told Sister Phyllis and me that she loved us, and added that it is important to tell others that you love and care for them, and that they must also tell you that they love and care for you. Sister Remberta, we do love you. We will miss you, but we rejoice with you. No one can fill the vacancy that you leave. Karl Rahner says that all loved ones who die take a part of our heart with them. So a part of each of us is now living with Sister Remberta, and that is why we cannot mourn. We are now closer to her than we were when she was on this earth. Lord, grant eternal rest to Remy, whom we love as never before in your love.
Praise